I have put a whopping 233 hours into Path of Exile this league, and it has been a long time since I've had this much fun with the game. Today I'll be going over my personal TOTA journey, going from a washed up Templar on the beach, a week late might I add, to the Giga Chad Headhunter wearing Chainhook cast on crit Exsanguinate Slayer, yes it's a mouthful, that I'm rocking right now. I do this not to brag or show off, but rather to hopefully inspire some of you to reach your goals in future leagues without burning out. Okay, maybe a little bit of showing off. It all started about 1 week after Trial of the Ancestors launch date actually. I skipped the beginning because I wasn't really sold on the whole league mechanic based on the trailer, but after a week of hearing good things about the state of the endgame, I figured, why the hell not? 200 hours later, I am glad I did. I looked up league starters to try and decide on a build, and there were a lot of good options to choose from, but ultimately I decided to go against the grain and copy this guy over on PoE Ninja with his Flameblast character. I had no idea how powerful this was actually going to be, and had no clue how lucky I was to be able to be playing such a strong archetype before it became well known. Nothing special really happened while leveling. I tried the league mechanic early on, and like most new league mechanics, thought it was pretty trash and started hoarding silver coins. This was great because it turns out a lot of people really liked doing the trials, and people were re-rolling into trial-friendly cheese builds with the whole knockback and void sphere nonsense, which meant that I had found a market. Silver coins were essentially liquid gold. By the time I had finished the axe, I was able to sell off my stack of coins, and I already had about 30 chaos, something that is usually pretty hard for me to achieve at this point. I was able to buy my most important item for my build, the Wrathpith Globe, and scale from there. Unfortunately, I was still playing Flameblast, so I did run into some trouble while scaling the build into the mid-game. Remembering just how easy it was to sell silver coins though, I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna flip coins for profit, and so I did. I started small, just flipping 10 to 20 coins at a time, but before long I had scaled my way to landing on this golden ratio, buying 120 silver coins for 100 chaos, and then selling 80 coins for that same 100 chaos. This netted me 40 coins of profit for every 2 trades, and trust me, people were lining up to both sell and buy from me since I more or less had the best ratios on the market. As you can imagine, this was pretty profitable, but not exactly fun. And while I didn't have to completely focus on trading 24/7, I was watching some anime or something, it did mean I wasn't mapping or progressing my character very much while doing this. So my solution was to not just only focus on trading all the time, but rather only make my flipping tabs public whenever I felt like winding down after having actually played the game for a bit. In doing this, I made plenty of currency and was able to get over the solid brick wall I was running into in red maps. Was this the most efficient way of getting there? Probably not, but it was a way, and I think it's an effective tool to add to your money-making toolbox if you've never tried it out. Flipping currency and items, I mean, not specifically silver coins. Anyways, I progressed through the Atlas, got to tier 16s, and pushed my Flameblast character as far as I was willing to take it, which included killing some Ura bosses and even defeating the Feared, something I had never even accomplished before, which I mean, I was super stoked about. It's not every league that I accomplished something new. At this point, I was kind of dabbling with the Forbidden Sanctum since my new friend Darude Firestorm informed me that that's what he was farming with the build, and before I knew it, I was working on my first YouTube build guide in over a year. In total, I spent over 3 weeks scripting, collecting footage, and refining the build, feeling pretty confident in showing off a solid, fun new build for you guys. Then, on September 18th, the worst thing imaginable happened. Big Ducks released his Blood Magic Life Stacking Firestorm Inquisitor guide. My heart sank. His build was incredibly similar to what I was playing, only it was tankier, more well-rounded, and used Firestorm instead of Flameblast. So in other words, it was better. As I lay in bed that night staring at my white crumbling ceiling, only one thought came to mind. I'm too late. It went about as well as I expected at this point. Anyways, I was super satisfied with the Flameblast build itself and decided it was time to move on to another one. Considering I'm not really a fan of doing the campaign over and over for new characters, I decided to sell off my gear, which thanks to Big Duck's video was really lucrative, and respec into a Mjolner Manabond Hierophant, as Mjolner has always been one of those uniques that I thought was incredibly cool ever since I started playing 10 years ago when it was like the most powerful item in the game, but I never actually tried it out until now. And well, yeah, I mean, it was pretty alright I guess. Lightning warping while spinning around for quick maps was something I didn't know I needed in my life, but the damage was pretty disappointing given the level of investment I put into it. I couldn't afford the pair of 100 Divine Forbidden Jewels that would let me start investing into crit, so I was stuck with a non-crit version that underperformed compared to my expectations. I'm not saying it's a bad build, far from it. From what I can tell, the sky really is the limit with these kinds of mana stacking builds. I just wasn't aware of how important those jewels were going into it. Not a build problem, but rather a me problem. So I did that whole easy peasy alpha farming strategy that I made a short guide for and farmed up enough to swap over to the next exciting build I played, Shockwave Totems. After doing Manabond for a while, I really wanted to go back to the Sanctum, 1 because I enjoy it, and 2 because the sweet smell of loot was drawing me in. Shockwave Totems are so comfy in the Sanctum, it's like the build was designed with it in mind. Spoiler alert, it kind of was. I did dozens of runs, failing here and there to my own greed for the most part, but overall having a great time and saving up a lot of currency while doing it. I invested the bare minimum into this build, simply making sure I had enough damage to kill guards and bosses before they killed me, preferring instead to invest in my relics to generate more and more currency. I went for the whole relic setup where you get to see 2 additional rooms per relic, making it so that I could almost always pick divines as rewards whenever they showed up. It was a lot of fun and I saved up a lot of currency, but like most things, the fun had to come to an end. I had saved up 100 divines and I knew just what to spend them on. Memes. At first, a member from our Discord community, come say hi, link in the description, suggested I look into Bone Shatter Cast on Crit, and while I was intrigued by the concept, I quickly found out that trauma stacks are local to the skill doing the hitting, so it would not be possible to stack up some insane spell damage through trauma. With that idea marked as a "this is a terrible idea," I took the concept in a different direction. Chainhook Cast on Crit Exsanguinate. Chainhook because it's a movement skill, it attacks pretty fast, and is an absolute meme. Cast on Crit because I love cock, I mean who doesn't? And Exsanguinate because I figured it would be able to clear entire screens, which it did. I had a lot of fun putting that build and video together for a couple weeks, and honestly I think it's the build that I am most proud of ever making. Not because it's OP or anything, but just because it's really fun to play, and it's 100% legitimately a build that I came up with on my own, which can't be said for like 99% of the builds I play. After that, I finally felt ready to give the actual League mechanic a chance with my Shockwave Totems character. At first, rounds were incredibly easy, but pretty quickly enemies started scaling to the point where my lack of defenses was really starting to get on my nerves. So I respec'd my Hierophant for the 3rd and final time this league and turned him into the cheesiest Tota farmer I could find. I got a nice Widow Hail with the block quiver and a bunch of fancy gems, and I was ready to tackle some more Tota with hopefully less annoying deaths. There was a bit of a learning curve at first, but after a couple rounds I understood the strength of this build. You place your Void Sphere down and your ballistas and you petrify everybody, and then you sprint to the back of their totems and start taking them out one by one with your flanker units. While trying to be sneaky, capturing totems and dodging enemy attacks with my crazy movement speed was pretty fun at first, it eventually became incredibly boring and monotonous to me. Yeah, the rewards were definitely good, I got some sweet tattoos and multiple divines as rewards, but farming the mechanic was wearing me down. Actually, I only made it to about rank 850 before deciding that I could not stomach another single round. It was just too repetitive, and that's saying something considering PoE is a game designed around endlessly repeating the same activities over and over. Thankfully, in doing all this Tota business, I actually saved up enough to afford a Headhunter. So after about 4 hours of sitting in my hideout trying to pawn off every last bit of sellable currency I had in my stash, I was able to pick one up. Now, I didn't really have a plan as to what I was going to do with the belt, so I decided to just toss it on my Chainhooker, and you know what? It's actually a blast to play. I was finally able to get a level up with the build while doing pretty juicy maps, which felt really good. And that brings me to where I'm at now, sitting in front of my microphone talking to you lovely people. I really think Trial of the Ancestors will be remembered as one of the best leagues we've ever had, up there with Legion, Delirium, Breach, and even, dare I say it, Ritual. And I am so glad I can say that because I don't know about you, but PoE 1 leagues were starting to get a little bit shaky in recent memory. So I've shared my journey this league, now it's your turn to do the same. How did your Trial of the Ancestors story go? Did you get anything crazy? Did you accomplish your goals? I read every single comment I receive, so go ahead and share your experience down below. If you enjoy this style of video, be sure to let me know, as maybe I'll make this a regular end of league type of thing. Also, give it a like and subscribe and all that fun YouTube stuff. I hate having to mention it, but it is what it is. I'm sure you understand. Thank you to all channel members for supporting these videos. I couldn't do it without you. Wait, what the fuck?